Welcome back to Magic in the Muck, a soul's compass for change. I'm Jennifer Nagel, and I'm so glad that you're here with me today. In last week's episode, we explored the West on the soul compass, the season of release and letting go, of composting what no longer serves so that something new can take root. For this week's episode, I am going to share an interview I had with Robyn McTague, and I'll tell you all about her in just a moment. She's another person who I had the opportunity to meet and connect with at Potapalooza. We're going to be talking a little bit about conflict, and it struck me that conflict is another place where we often meet that same edge, a place of tension, discomfort, and sometimes loss. And conflict can also be a doorway to growth, trust, and deeper connection. So learning from that, again, allowing something new to take root. So I'm delighted to share today's conversation with Robyn McTague. She's the creator of A Life of Choice Coaching and Positive Team Engagement Consulting. She's an international speaker and author, and she brings a really grounded, wise approach to conflict transformation, not just resolving disputes, but really turning tension into trust. In our conversation, we talk about how conflict can be a catalyst for personal and professional growth, and how curiosity opens the door to understanding. Robyn talks about how tools like the Enneagram and motivational maps can uncover the deeper drivers behind our behavior. So, whether you're navigating conflict in your business, in your team, in your family, or even within yourself, this episode, I hope, will give you fresh insight into how those messy, uncomfortable places can actually be powerful invitations into transformation. So let's dive in. Robyn, I'm really happy that you're here. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
So even your talk title, Conflict Transformation, Turning Tension into Trust. It's so timely with just everything going on in the world. But first, tell me about you. What is sparking your joy or giving meaning to your life these days?
I love nature. I came from a very chaotic upbringing, and nature and animals were the two things that really saved me because I couldn't count on the humans in my life. So, I have a park about half a block from where I live. I go out and take pictures of the flowers, and that's how I post on Facebook a lot. So and people just enjoy it and the beauty of it. And I love to see the flowers right from the bud, right to falling apart to show, we can accept all of it because it's all part of the growth and the change. And we have seasons here in the Vancouver area. So I get to see different season and what happens. And I love that. We have live theater in the summer. We have Bard on the Beach. I was at the opening show last night, which
Were you?
was fun.
Well, there's something about nature and the arts and all that's just so healing, and nature especially because of it's just constant and it's there even no matter what's going on in the world. That nature is something that we can turn to regulate our nervous system and also just spark joy.
And it's a reminder that everything has a cycle, that it's present in the moment.
Yes.
So often we're, thinking about the past, beating ourselves over or the past and, what's next on the list. And, we have so many car accidents because no one's sitting in their car present. And it's just beautiful reminders.
Yeah. And really, transformational change can only happen in the present moment. You can't change the past. You can only change what's happening in this moment in time. And so I'm so curious, what inspired you to focus on conflict as a path to growth and connection?
Yeah. So for me, it was the alcoholic, rageaholic, sexually abuser of my dad, and then my mom was mentally ill and she was suicidal the first time I remember I was 4. So I had these two extremes, and so I didn't understand that there was something in the middle. And of course, most of us didn't grow up with boundaries, so I didn't know how to say no. I carried these patterns despite learning psychology and counseling. I married someone who looked different on the outside, and they still had that same pattern. Like, I could tell that they would have this blow up or some tension, and it wasn't about that. And I would ask questions like, what's going on? Is there anything else? But they weren't able to be honest about it. And so we had these cycles all the time. And it took me a long time to get out of that bad marriage because I didn't know how. I had to do some personal development work. And then 25 years ago, I had breast cancer. And that really opened me up to other parts of myself. The spiritual part had shut down, my feelings that I'd bottled up for so long. And, it was kind of this new way of looking at how to deal with conflict because it was all inside. And I hadn't realized that I was having this, I wanted to be this in the world, but I didn't feel I could because it wasn't safe to say no. It wasn't safe to express myself. My sexuality had shut down. It wasn't till I had cancer that I came out as queer. Like, there were so many things about my life I'd shut down.
It's amazing how it takes a life-changing, like cancer or illness or some kind of big crisis or chaos that really to waken us up and to really take a look at who am I and what's important.
Yeah, it's sad in a way. I did look early on after working through the cancer to help other women post-cancer to find that new normal. And people didn't want to talk about it. And so, I tried to do market research, but no one would come forward. It's only years later, when they didn't necessarily need the support, that they could talk about it. And I thought that was so sad that...
Yeah. Is that shifting? Is that shifting now, or do people still hold it in?
It's unfortunate. I did the peer support for 20 years and COVID dried up a lot of donations and the programs were cut. So I'm not really sure what's going on in that world anymore. I feel kind of distanced from it. But, there is some supports, but it's not the same to have that peer support where people are going through the same thing can actually give you their life and lived experience.
Yeah. So I wonder, with your work with conflict, how is that? How do you work with conflict?
Yeah. So what happened with all the other training, and I was working in a large organization, and I thought, came out of this bad marriage. I didn't know how to deal with things. I'm really interested in advocacy work. I was working in my union, doing work there. And I had a really good program with my employer where they would pay my time off work to do courses. So I certified in it, and it was just life-changing for me. And at that time, we got to do both mediation and negotiation. And the mediation was easy for me. 2 other people or groups of people, I can do that.
Yeah.
Did it all my life, right? That's what I did.
Yeah.
To bring myself into the equation, that was the challenge. So I learned to really see what did I need to bring to the table, those places of fear within myself. And, the meditation helped me because I learned this grounding, shielding system where I wasn't taking on other people's energy.
That's important, isn't it?
So important.
Yeah.
Don't think about that. We're sponges.
Mm-hmm.
Taking on everything else. And so learning to discern, learning to understand what's important for me, learning the lesson that cancer was about nurturing, right? Breast cancer was about nurturing. So learning to do that for myself and allowing myself to feel my emotions because they're our North Star and we ignore them all the time.
And yet they have such positive intentions and messages for us when we stop to listen to them.
Yeah. So after I left work, because once I did that, I started to get my confidence. And work was still good, but I was fortunate. I started there fairly young and I could leave with a pension. So I didn't go back to survival mode because I was trying to go out on my own as a practitioner. I was very safety conscious in my life because I needed that stability I didn't have. And so then I learned the motivational map and the Enneagram, and I've incorporated these into my practice. And what I love, it's both for the individual and teams. So whether it's a family system, a business situation, or a personal life, it helps us to understand what's important to me. And so we don't often think about how we can't articulate what that is.
Mm-hmm.
How do I feel about this? Is it driving my energy? Is it energizing me or not? And this is what the map goes into. It shows us our top 3 motivators, which help us to see what are those 3 things that really get me to align with what's important and drive me towards that. Mm-hmm. And see the team profile as well at that bigger picture as well.
Yeah. So it's getting your soul into alignment or getting yourself into alignment with what's important, values, and then why is that important? Because
we're just going in all different directions. We're going to go along with the crowd. We're not going to feel happy at the end of the day. And then what happens, we get into our really bad habits, whether it's junk food, TV, whatever this distractions are and the unhealthy behaviors that we have, or even overworking. It can look like a positive thing, like runners. Like when I was in the bad marriage, I was working out 3 hours a day. It looked like I was being healthy. And when I got cancer, everyone said, you're a healthy one. They were shocked. It's like they didn't know what was going on inside me.
Inside parts, yeah. And all that inner turmoil and conflict and how that does speak out in our bodies.
Yeah. When we do know that, then we can make choices from there.
Yeah. So bringing it back to conflict, what do you believe that conflict reveals about us, especially in times of transition and stress?
That we want something different and we're just not sure what it is. And can I feel vulnerable, allow myself to feel scared, but to actually take some time with myself to see what's going on? And, that was one of my fears too. I'm going to open up the feelings. It's going to be this Pandora's box, and I'm never going to get through to the other side. And it's not true. I'm here to tell you that I made it.
Living proof.
Yes. And it's a wave, right? Mm-hmm. It's like grief. Like our society is so bad in dealing with grief and anger. And it's like this. Because if you think about someone that you loved and you've lost them, and does it ever go away? No, it lessens and you get waves of it. But, yeah, we have our way of compartmentalizing it and dealing with it in different ways, but that sadness is probably still there. But a lot of the sadness and grief is for our life that we didn't live because we weren't true to ourselves. We weren't authentic. We didn't listen to ourselves. And so then we take that all on. We beat ourselves up.
Yeah. And so how do you help people move from like defensiveness or shutting down, compartmentalizing? How do you help move them into engagement and curiosity?
So what we need to do is understand that when we can have a more neutral language about it and see that it's not necessarily our personality and all these different things, that it's just what we want, to normalize being human. I say that all the things about being human that embarrass us, that make us feel shame, that make us feel not worthy, is what we need to embrace. because it's only by being human that we can actually be here in the world and accept ourselves. All the spiritual stuff is great, but it's not enough. And that's why I really love the Enneagram system. That really helped me to really ground that in the present and look at our humanity. And with the map, it's really clear to see this is just the type of communication. These are the things that are important to me. And if it's not being met, then yeah, I'm not going to be happy. So we have relationship motivators, achievement, and growth. And if I have a growth motivator and a relationship one, they have the biggest clash because growth ones change fast.
Yeah.
Line. Don't give me a lot of detail. I'm on to the next thing, shiny object, all these different things. Relationships take time. I don't like changes fast. I want lots of communication, lots of times, and keep me posted. I want to feel safe. I want to feel secure.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I have one that I love to create and be innovative and do all these things, or the spirit, which is a lot of entrepreneurs. So but they don't get things accomplished because they don't understand that they can reframe it to say some structure is going to help me to actually have more freedom because I'll get that stuff done. It's not going to weigh on my mind and the freedom. But then I love these people and I'm not making time for them. So I feel guilty because I'm so looking for learning and growing and all of these things. So when we can see that, then we can make choices from there and say, 80% of the time I'll do this to take care of this one, 20% this, and that's going to give me enough right now.
Yeah.
And that shifts over time.
So it's finding that third way. It's not this or this, but it's finding what is the balance that's going to fit. What happens over time? I'm sure that fluctuates with different seasons.
Well, motivation changes over time, and we forget that. We think it's a set thing, but it's not. And, my own example, as I grew and got more independent, I didn't need the same level of security anymore. So motivation can change in as little as 2 years. And we saw this a lot with COVID, right? We make changes because all of a sudden, I don't feel that same way anymore. I don't know what needs to change, but maybe moving will make a difference. But it doesn't last because they didn't know what actually were able to articulate what the change was.
Yeah. Or the root of where that's coming from.
Exactly.
You talk about uncovering the drivers behind our behaviors. Is there a common root that you see under recurring conflict?
It's those places of tension and not listening to what is important to you. The places where we shut ourselves down, and then what happens in the unconscious, we sabotage ourselves because we're not integrating that part of ourselves. So when we go deeper in the Enneagram work, we deal with shadows. And so we bring forward these aspects of ourselves that we talk to and find out, what was the intention on that? There was something positive that didn't work out. So what is it? And can I bring it to the table? So when it shows up again, it's not creating those conflicts. And I'm just seeing it for what it is. So an example I give is jealousy. Who wants to feel jealous? Not me.
It feels icky.
Exactly. So when I talked to it for myself, it was just, that's something I desire. Like I would see my Enneagram coaches going to all these events in the US and I'm in Canada and I can't afford the same travel. And, I'm so admire that person, but, I can't be there. And so when I saw that it just wanted to let me know that that was a desire, I could say, okay, and not feel so envious and jealous about it and just say, well, maybe I'll read their book or listen to this or do something else that fills me up instead and not build up resentment, because that's what happens, right? We have that lower level of resentment and then it builds into the anger and then we either express it out inappropriately, we withdraw or we latch onto something we want to be loyal to have that attachment to, whether it's an ideology, a person, it could be anything. And none of those work long term.
Mm-hmm. So how do you help people walk through their process of finding out what's important to them and moving into alignment with themselves?
Yeah, so it really depends where people are at and what the situation is. So the main tool is the motivational map. I use that with all sections that I work with because we can look individually, together, and groups. It always gives us our individual profile, and it gives, the connection between people. And so understanding, spending time once they do, it's a easy 12-minute assessment online, and it's 97% self-reported accurate. It's the only thing that gets to how we feel about what we're doing. And it's partly based on the Enneagram, and that's why I went down that rabbit hole, was because this is so precise. I need to know more.
I love that. And so you do that both individually and in groups as well?
Mm-hmm.
So for our listeners, whoever is listening, what's one shift that they can make to cultivate healthier dynamics within themselves?
The biggest thing, both personally and externally, internally and externally, is my mantra that I learned from conflict resolution training. Be curious. All behavior makes sense. So within us, it's making sense because it's an unmet need. It may be the young part of us that needs a hug, that needs to feel safe, that never felt heard, whatever it is. Or maybe it's going on for the other person. We're taking it personally. How can we be curious enough to ask questions to find out why it makes sense to them?
Exactly. I love that. That always, something I tell my clients a lot too, is always be curious and never assume, because I usually avoid saying always and never, but I think that curiosity piece is so important, to really be curious.
But we forget it with ourselves.
And we do. Yeah. So we need to remember to be curious with ourselves. Anything else that you want our listeners to know today before we bring this to a close?
The more we understand ourselves and learn some skills outside of the time that we're triggered, we're going to have a much more calm, harmonious life. And if it's simply starting with, where are my feet on the floor right now, then do that. And with yourself all through the day.
Yeah. Being in the present. Thank you. Well, Robyn, it's been a real pleasure to spend this time with you. And thank you for offering such wisdom around an area that many people avoid. People avoid conflict, right?
Would like to.
Yeah. So for those wanting to transform conflict in their life or their business, where can they learn more about your work? Where can we find you?
I'm on LinkedIn, just under my name, Robyn McTague. I'm on Facebook, and you'll see lots of flower pictures there. And alifeofchoice.ca, because I am in Canada, and positiveteamengagement.com.
Wonderful. And we'll put all these links in the show notes. And thank you so much, Robyn.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Robyn. What I loved most is the reminder that conflict isn't something to avoid or fear. It's part of being human. When we meet it with curiosity and compassion, it can actually help us let go of old patterns, uncover unmet needs, and create the trust that we're longing for. This ties so beautifully back to the theme of the West on the Soul Compass, the courage to release what doesn't serve and to allow for room for something new. So here's something to reflect on for this week. Where in your life right now might conflict be pointing you toward a deeper truth, or maybe offering you a chance to build trust? So I'll say that again, just in case you're writing this down. Where in your life right now might conflict be pointing you toward a deeper truth or offering you a chance to build trust? As always, I would love to hear what resonated with you from this conversation. You can share your reflections with me inside the Magic in the Muck community on Facebook, or reach out directly. And if this episode spoke to you, I invite you to share it with someone who might be facing conflict in their own life or work. Until next time, may you continue to discover the magic hidden in the muck of your own journey. Take care. Thank you for being here with me on Magic in the Muck. If today stirred something in you and you're ready to walk this path more deeply, I invite you to join the Soul Compass Circle, a journey of reflection, connection, and soul-aligned living. You don't have to do this alone. Just visit the link in the show notes to step into the circle. I look forward to meeting you there.
I'm Michelle Abraham, founder of the High Vibe Podcast Network, and we're honored to have Jennifer Nagel's show Magic in the Muck as part of our network family. For more inspiring shows like this one, visit highvibepodcastnetwork.com, and don't forget to grab your free gifts from our hosts in the gift fold. Stay high vibe and keep sharing your light.